The dog hath successfully peed, and I hath successfully sucked at drafting quarterbacks. Let's continue on with this madness. All right, let's see what we can do. See what we can do with Leach. Using him for the first time. What can be done? The answer is a pick. Very first pass I ever threw with him is an interception. The next play was at least half decent. Can somebody get open? Thank you. That was a nice throw, at least. All right, how many touchdowns can we get? Good throw to Rondale. All right. I mean, hey, he's got some pocket presence. He's got some pocket presence. I mean, if we can get this guy to develop, you never know. You never know. Does that count? Nope, didn't. Thanks, Shepard, for dropping the ball. Appreciate you. Yeah, he came up with that one. All right, you know, this quarterback, he's got some throwing capability. He does. That's picked. Should have been. I got impatient. Oh, baby, another touchdown. We're still only in bronze. Kill me. That was a nice little throw. We only got a bronze. I am not very good at those skill games, as I've learned. So I don't know how much of a help that's going to be in this franchise or future franchises, if we're being honest. Honestly, screw the defense. Again, I'm going to have to play the crap out of those every season in the future with the UDFA run to help our chances. So for now, screw it. Will Levis and the Miami Dolphins. Oh my God. All right. Well, it's got some rookies in there, most of whom aren't that great. We want Bryce Wells in there still at 24. We want Cameron Walton. We can have the two new young wideouts in there. We want Khalid Callahan in there too. So there we go. Let's get to the preseason and see just what the hell this team's going to be, because I still don't know. I have no idea who our starter's going to be. I have no idea, especially what this team's going to look like by the trade deadline. You know, we could blow this team up to frickin' smithereens before then. Time will tell. It's gonna be something. I don't think I've been less certain about what the hell we're doing with the team heading into a season than I am right now. Like, I am beyond uncertain. It doesn't help when you end up with a tragic situation such as what the hell just happened to us with that draft when it comes to quarterbacks, right? That's not an important position, right? Who's the worst quarterback to win a Super Bowl in recent memory? Who's the worst one? Has there been somebody worse than Trent Dilfer? Sam Darnold. That's fair. If Sam Darnold in this reality can win a Super Bowl, then God damn it. Eli. I don't think you can throw Eli Manning there when he beat the Patriots twice. You know? Probably Flacco. Even then, it's not like Joe Flacco was abysmal, you know? So, Nick Foles. I'm a Patriots fan, so I can't sit there and shit talk Nick Foles because it'll just come off as sour grapes. So, all right. We are 2-0 in the preseason. We might go 3-0. Are we the Ravens of the preseason? Yes, we are. We went 3-0. Now we get to get rid of 22, by God, players. Which is why we're saving the player upgrades, because some people are going to be off the team, and it doesn't matter. So, quarterback. I haven't made a decision between Slater and Leach, who are both normal dev. I haven't made that decision. Brian Shepard, who was accidentally the 19th overall pick last year, has lost his star dev. He is going to be moved to the practice squad so that I can get out from underneath that contract eventually. Who won on the Falcons? Ritter. Ritter was still their quarterback. Brian Castillo, who we did just draft, is immediately getting practice squadded to get out from underneath that commitment in the future for what we have to pay for him. And same for Anthony Hudson, who was another desperation, screw it, why not quarterback selection. So to start the year, at least, it is going to be Slater, Leach, Garoppolo. We just have to decide who the week 1 starter is. And who do we want to try to help get a breakout moment? Because Kurt's not too old that if he goes star dev that he couldn't significantly improve. And Leach is young enough that if he goes to star dev, he'd be better. But right now he is only a 72. Running back wise, we're set. It's Walton, Tucker, and then Zeke is there in the mentor role. Zeke honestly might be the second option. He is, because Tucker dropped down to normal dev. I'm willing to keep Tucker on roster for another season because there's nobody better. So yeah, Zeke will probably be our second choice at running back, funny enough. Works for me. Fullback, Thomas Wolfe, that we just took. Wideouts, it is going to be Henry, Bush, then Rondale, and then Shark and Brandon Cooks. Walton hasn't lost Superstar. No, he did lose his X Factor, but he hasn't lost Superstar. Tight end, we're going to drop Roberson, who we just took in the draft. And then it's the tough choice. You know, we took Greg Dulcich as a second choice option. We took Fant, who is normal dev, but looks like a beast. I am going to try to trade Dulcich away and run Gerald Everett as a mentor. So, Greg, hate to say it, I like you. There might even be a bit of a penalty for trading you away, but I'll just take it at this point. It's fine. It shouldn't be that bad. Does anybody want you? The answer is yes. Greg Harper, a 6th and a 7th. Terrell Bernard. Is there anybody with it? Kurt Cameron. He's back. And then Johnny Claiborne. 23 and a 75 on the Patriots. Let's do that. We'll trade Dulcich to the Patriots for Johnny Claiborne and a 7th. That works for me. And that'll upgrade our third string running back option. So, and that'll allow us to go back to running back and then drop George Tucker to the practice squad. So we did make our running back position better. And we stop a bit of a log jam at tight end. The O-line. Greg Ringer is still star dev. This is where things get tough. We got Paris and we got Ringer, both at star dev. We have to make a choice. It's not worth keeping Ringer on roster, not getting regular playing time. There's got to be a choice there. Clifton Bryan is still star dev, but he's 26. So he's a little bit older. At center, Jeremiah Proctor is still star dev, which is good, obviously. He's 25. Does Matt Hall still have a good dev pattern? He does. He still has star. Yeah, we got to make choices here and get rid of some of this depth. Mike Cannon, does he still have star dev? Yes, he does. It's not worth keeping all these guys. Like, someone needs that primary playing time and the focus. George Farley, who we just drafted, has hidden dev. We got a lot of O-line depth, and it's worth cashing out on some of it. Then we took Brendel. We had CJ Hendricks on the practice squad last year. We can drop him, maybe even bring him back if we need to. I doubt it. And then there is James Drummond, who we took in the last draft, who wasn't very good. He'll get moved to the practice squad. Right guard, Matt Bolden. Do you still have a dev pattern? Yes, you do. He is still star dev. What do we have for Trevor Nash? Nash is normal dev. Okay. So trade or depth. Keep around his depth for Trevor Nash. We'll see if there's any interest in him. And then right tackle is Bryson Cook, who does still have star dev. Like I said, now is the time. Shout out to Polly for the 22 months, by the way. Appreciate that. How are you tonight? It's good to see you. and I hope you're doing well. Now is the time to cash out on some of this depth. And you can argue the veterans. There's a couple of different ways to go about this. Like I said, I'm at the point now where we still have just so much money open and the team's gone in such a weird direction. I'm not afraid to take some extra cap penalties. But yeah, if we can cash out on some of these guys, we should. And get value for them before they lose their dev pattern. So just in theory, Greg Ringer, I'd prefer not to get rid of you. There's no offers for him, though. So Ringer has to stay. Do we have an offer for Paris Johnson Jr.? Some random linebacker, Sky Moore. Jonah Jackson doesn't solve the issue. 6th round pick. Random young corner. Superstar tight end Joey Casey in a 7th. Well, that complicates things at tight end now, doesn't it? That complicates things a lot. I mean, we did just take a decent tight end, but Joey Casey gives us a nice dual threat at tight end. I want to check elsewhere really quickly. Is there an offer for Clifton Bryan? There is. So for Bryan, Oscar Portis, Greg Harper. Is there anybody with a good dev pattern? That's what I'm checking really quickly. So nobody with a good dev pattern. Paris, we can get a superstar tight end. There's no good dev patterns if we were to trade Bryan. Let's go look at the centers. Let's go look at the centers. We just got to see what we can get for everybody here. So Jeremiah Proctor, I'd prefer not to get rid of. But in theory, I mean, he's 25 and only a 77. Any good dev patterns? And I'm obviously going to prioritize dev patterns first, even over overalls. No good dev patterns for Proctor. What about Hall? Matt Hall. Okay, I mean, obviously, to the surprise of probably no one, Paris Johnson will get us the best return. What about Mike Cannon? No trade offers for Cannon. What about, we just drafted Farley, so I'd prefer not to get rid of him until I know for sure what he is. So that brings us to Matt Bolden on the right. Again, no high-end dev patterns for him either. Can I get anything for Nash? Otherwise, he's a depth option. Oh, there's actually an offer for him. Interesting. And it's Kirk Cameron. To be honest, I'm going to take that. I mean, it's a 5th-round pick, and it's a depth linebacker. I got to get rid of Nash anyway, ideally. So we're going to trade Trevor Nash to the New York Giants for Kirk Cameron in a 5th. That's fine by me. And then at right tackle, I'd prefer not to get rid of him. But Bryson Cook, I at least need to know what the trades would look like. And again, it doesn't look like we'll see anybody. Okay, it's a lie. There's a wide receiver, Justin Ramirez. Interesting. Interesting. That might be worth it for us.
I'm just trying to walk through this fucking grass.
I have not a clue. Oh, it's Gucci Racks. That's what it is. Thank you for the follow. Took me a second. So obviously it's not ideal, but Cook and Paris would be bringing in the 2 best returns. It would be making our line worse temporarily. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 guys with a good dev pattern. Again, it's a risk because if I'm not mistaken, they are, of course, as well. Well, they're up there for our best. They're not. I mean, Johnson is outright our best. His deal is also up at the end of the year. Does he want to come back? No. So Paris Johnson, definitely gone. 100% gone. And honestly, So let's see. Ringer is 22.75 star. Brian is 26.77 star. We got Proctor at 25.77 and star. Hall. I'm going to see if I can pair people in trades. I just want to know who the smart ones are to get rid of. And then Cannon is 23.71 in star. And that is fair as well. Checking expiring contracts can also be a good little tiebreaker. Okay. Jeremiah Proctor. Are you willing to come back without having to be overpaid for? Okay, Proctor's willing to stay. That's good news. That's good news. Clifton Bryan. Are you willing to stay? If not, given that you're the oldest, you're definitely gone. Clifton Bryan's out. Clifton Bryan is out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I could move on from one more. Proctor's at 25. 23.71 star Cannon. Makes the most sense. So we could run Ringer, Proctor, Hall, Farley, Bolden, and still be pretty good. So we already have Paris there. What if we add Clifton Bryan? Honestly, Clifton Bryan, and then Cannon. Because I can add 3 guys to one deal. Is there any interest in this? Oh my god, there is. So Trey Hendrickson, Ryan Reese, Zach Tutt. But obviously, if we trade Paris on his own, he gets us a superstar tight end. So there's got to be somebody who is on that level. And funny enough, I'm not seeing it because they see the other two as negative value. Okay. So we are going to move Paris Johnson. It's his last year of his deal. He'd want to leave at the end of it anyway. And we can pick up the young tight end from the Green Bay Packers, Joey Casey, and a 7th round pick. The Packers really want that O-line help, and I don't blame them. So we're going to take that deal, and we pick up Joey Casey at tight end. That does also put me in a weird spot with Khalil Fant, who I will probably end up practice squatting. I don't know if I'll be able to make room for him to stay on the roster. God forbid I have to make a decision here. Bryce Wells. Are you willing to stay for decent money? Okay, he is, thank God. I didn't want to have to trade him anyway. So yeah, Fant probably goes to the practice squad. And that way Everett can help build up these young two as a mentor. So, Bryan, Cannon, and Cook, I hate to say. Cook was the one that could land us. Actually, probably not Cook. I know Cook could land us a star wideout, but he's just too damn good. So if we trade Hall instead. Bunny, take it easy. And Alex, what's going on? The team's looking okay. We did just have a pretty bad draft, though. So Bryan, Cannon, and Hall. Their powers combined. A reminder, none of them on their own were worth much. But together, they're worth an X-Factor tight end. Or a superstar running back. We have to take it. We have to take it. So Bryan, Cannon, and Hall to Cincinnati for 23-year-old tight end Lonnie Reed. We have no choice but to take that. Thank you very much, Cincinnati. Take him and flip him to fullback. Well, that now raises the question of what the hell happens at tight end, because John Casey becomes a little bit expendable. Since he probably did need the O-line help, it still says they need a right tackle. Or did I say John Casey instead of Joey? I don't know. But Joey Casey is here. If I move Bryce Wells to wideout and then have those two at tight end to try and develop, because ideally, like, because Casey gets a breakout, he could go X Factor. That's the reason to not trade him. I don't want to trade Bryce Wells either, though, because he's awesome. What a weird set of scenarios here. My God. Can I move Bryce Wells successfully to wideouts? Like, what would his rating be as a wide receiver compared to a tight end? Wells is still showing up as a 76 wideout, which isn't amazing. But if we have Henry, Bush, and Wells as our top 3 wideouts, that's not bad at all. And then move Rondale Moore because it's the last year of his deal. I think that's the way to go. I think that's the way to go. Is move Wells to wide receiver. I mean, yes, the other option is, I don't know why I went to roster. The other option is to move one of the 3 tight ends if possible, to try and get an upgrade elsewhere, and we can explore that option. Let me sort out that tight end situation later. Let's look at the rest of the team really quickly to see what else we have to do. So again, the O-line now, I got to move some people around, but we're pretty much set.
I'm just
Defensively, shout out to Top Mass Entertainment, by the way. Defensively, I mean, Darryl Hunt's going to be the second option. Burrow probably gets practice squatted, so that's fine. And honestly, because I'm going to be practice squatting people, I should have gone back to the roster page. Yeah, we're going to have to figure out what to do with tight end now, because all of a sudden we ended up with a superstar level player. I mean, if on one hand, felt kind of cheap, but on the other, it's like, man, you get offered that, you got to go for it. And again, if it's not a super young player like in real life, those are the players I don't like trading for. But man, if they're drafted, whatever. Top Mass, I mean, that's what we do around here. We play franchise. And maybe a little bit of superstar too, once they kind of work out some of the kinks. That is what we do. All right, so yeah, Jeremy Burrow, we're going to actually maybe try to trade you first. Hold on. I knew it would get a bit crazy. The penalty would be big. But again, right now we have the open space to be able to trade people. Or we could practice squad him for a year and then trade him. It depends. The linebacker situation's a mess right now. We didn't practice squad anybody else who would have had much trade value. So at linebacker, Matthew McQueen, second-year pro. We can just cut him. He was practice squatted last year. We've had a habit of missing on linebackers lately. Randy Harris can go too. Randy Harris can go. Of course, we traded for Kirk Cameron. There's Owen Papo, Shaq Barrett. Dude, man, Papo can get cut. We're going to run with Cameron as the starter. So let's move on from him. That way we got just a depth option, a mentor, and a starter. Middle linebackers, Malone, Spitzer, Deion Jones is here. We took Lamar Callaway in this last draft, but again, he did not pan out. So we'll practice squad him. He shouldn't really have much trade value. Eddie Buckley can go for the same reason. He has an upgrade point, but I don't even care to put it on him. And then on the right is Josh Allen, where we still have to make a decision. We have Khalil Mack as a veteran. There's Gary, who we want to try to build up. We're probably going to move him to the left. Ellington, I think, is back to star. Nope, he dropped back to normal again. Jesus. So we do still have to make a choice with Allen and Ellington as to what's going to happen there. At corner, we signed Okuda. We have Callahan. Kohu's here. Last year of his deal, I'm pretty sure. James Bradbury is the mentor. Davenport's here. I got to take a look at just random stuff there. Be easier when we can see trade values. Safety is Ridley and Amos, which is great. Other side is Griffin. We did take Monty Henson, who does already have an upgrade point, but again, he was normal dev. Don't quite know where to move Monty Henson so that he benefits from playing. Could technically move him to linebacker, and that might work out for him too. There's a couple of different, like I said, I knew this would be kind of crazy. There's a couple of different options we have for each spot. And then Quincy Bankston, I mean, whatever, could get practice squatted. There's the punter that we drafted, Kevin Brown, is not that good, so he'll get demoted immediately. That's fine. Okay. 7 players left to cut. We can get the roster number down, no problem. Really quickly, that defensive tackle, Burrow, who hasn't really panned out. Does he have trade value? Or not? Yeah, it is Burrow. Does he have trade value on his own? He does not. I'd have to pair him with somebody else. Linebacker-wise on the right, Josh Allen's in the final year of his deal at 30 years old. Is he willing to come back? No, he is not. So it's like we could keep him for now or just try to move him. Then there's also Kentrell Ellington, who's been super up and down, but it could be Ellington and Gary with Malone in the middle. Cameron moves to a depth option. I'm all right with keeping Ellington. So if we have Allen, Burrow in the same deal, and then at corner, final year of Kader Kohu's contract, given that he was a free agent signing, I'd imagine he'd be willing to come back. Yeah, because we don't have a franchise quarterback anymore, he'd want to be overpaid a little bit. Bradbury's the veteran. Davenport is just a dude at this point. He's gone up and down in terms of dev patterns. He could be in this deal. Again, you're only allowed to have 3 players at once. If we were to use Allen to make these 2 more tradable, that brings back Drew Sanders, who we saw before from Denver. You can see why they'd want to do it. They get Josh Allen and get better. There's Greg Newsome, who isn't obviously the worst. And again, Sanders is tough because, like I said, I don't like trading for the actual young prospects of real teams. That's why I didn't go for him before. It is true. You're right. Sanders didn't want to sign here anyway. There's Newsome, Calvin Flynn for the defensive line, but we don't really need that. An X-Factor offensive lineman from Detroit. Will Anderson, Peter Skoronski, Jerry. I mean, well, we know what we're doing. We're probably going for Jay Williams. We are, if he is willing to re-sign here once his contract's up, that's the guy. Is he willing to stay? No, he's not. The flip side is that he could be flipped. We have him for this year, maybe some of next, and then flip him. Knowing that Allen wants to leave already at the end of this year, Burrow would get practice squatted if he stayed. Davenport might get cut. I think we're going to take this. I think we are. We're going to take Jay Williams, even if it's short term. Josh Allen, thank you for your service to this team. But we got to take that. We have to take that. Blockbuster trade there. And I really like Josh Allen, obviously, but he wasn't going to stay. And the O-line did get better, regardless of who it's for. We still don't know who our starter is going to be. So I do have to move someone else. Again, Ringer is 22 years old, a 75, and star dev. There is Proctor, who is 25, a 77, and star dev. Farley, we just drafted, but he's 22, a 71, hidden. The fact he's only a 71 at 22 is a bit concerning. There is Bolden, who is 24, a 75, and star dev. And then there is Bryson Cook, who is 23, a 78, and star dev. So, we know by default that Jay Williams stays. That is not even a question. He is there. Because it was asked about his X Factor. He only gets abilities, but still, it was still worth getting him. He gets Nasty Streak, Lifeguard, Unspun, and would get another one at 95. But yeah, I mean, he's about as good of a young O-lineman as you could hope for. So he stays. Based off of age and overall, Bryson Cook stays. Ringer has to stay, 75 overall at 22. So we are looking at Proctor, Farley, or Bolden. Bolden's a year younger, but 2 overall worse than Proctor. And we can keep Farley because it's too big of a risk to know what he is. I think it's Bolden that gets cut. I don't know if Bolden would go up by more than 2 in a given year. So yeah, Matt Bolden is the guy that gets the boot because Jay Williams is here. I do believe Williams was that number 1 overall pick, yes. I do believe he was. 3rd overall in 2024. I do remember him being a very high draft pick, at least. Okay, so there's still the tight end situation. They were still probably moving Monty Henson to linebacker. Then there's the corner situation. I think, honestly, we keep Kohu this year. Even if we lose him at the end of the year. We keep this trio. Callahan is 1, Okuda 2, Kohu. Bradbury is a depth option. We're looking pretty good. We are looking pretty good. Bolden does need to go, though. We know that there weren't great trade offers for him on his own. There aren't really any other players I'm willing to move right now. We have 2 picks this upcoming year in the first round. It's the fewest we've had in a while. If I were to pair him with a 5th round pick, would that improve? Ooh, Sebastian Harris, 77 overall. That's not bad. Jeremy Marshall, J.K. Dobbins we don't need. Is there anybody else to make this work? Not really. So a 3rd rounder's not, or a 5th rounder, excuse me, isn't that much. If I were to use that 3rd rounder, and then Bolden, if we were to use the 3rd rounder, left guard Ricardo McKee, that doesn't solve our issue, it just makes it worse. We're not going to be able to get much for Bolden, is what I'm realizing. Like, just the value we have to give up to really boost up his trade value just isn't there. Giving up our own 2nd round pick, we'd really have to get something stellar. Stromberg, Jordan Davis at DT. But again, we're already pretty good at DT. Keegan Howard, just... Then I'd have to move somebody else. If I get Keegan Howard, then I have to move Proctor, and it's a 2nd round pick in the deal. Trayvon Walker's there. And the star down. Former 1st overall pick, Timmy Skandrick. I mean, if you think about the value exchange, that's actually pretty good. But then I'd just get into the trouble of moving the defensive ends that we already have that are already pretty good. Are they as good as him? No. But, you know, Corbin Williams is very solid. And Cassidy Baker won... Oh, my God. Wow. Really? He won Rookie of the Year last year, but he's back down to normal dev. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Fuck, dude. He won Rookie of the Year, and then he just immediately got dropped anyway. Well, that sucks. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure he was superstar, and now he's down to normal. Well, shits and gigs. Development regression has been ridiculous. It has, and to be honest, it means I probably won't use it for the UDFA run. If I were to move Bolden and Baker together because of that, turns out it might work out pretty well for us. This is why I don't normally do series with a ton of trading on this game. Because the game has screwed us so many good young players, we are going to trade Cassidy Baker and Matt Bolden to the Philadelphia Eagles for Forrest Harris. Yep. Thank you. Screw it. I don't even care. I don't even care. It's not a series where we have limits on trading. I'm only using the trade finder as well. If they offer it to me, screw it. It's a fair deal. So this team just took some steps forward. Yeah, and then we wait to see if they get dropped. So that'll be fun. So one more look here. Quarterback. For the moment, we're fine. I still don't know who the hell the starter is. Wideouts. We are going to move Bryce Wells to officially to wide receiver to try and develop those other two tight ends that we acquired via trades. So, Bryce, you are now a wideout, and we'll see what kind of effect that has on you. Obviously drops his overall a bit. I did just remember we could look to trade Rondale. Because technically he would be my fourth wideout right now. So what is the value for Rondale Moore on the last year of his deal? Anybody with a good dev pattern so far? It's just a whole bunch of normals. Okay, nothing that immediately jumps off the page. Season 4 already? Yeah, it's been rough. Obviously, it hasn't been worth really playing at all, given that the team's been bad. So we only jump in if there's a breakout moment at stake. Martin Emerson, I don't want to trade for. Eric Sharp. Ooh. Another decent linebacker. Matt Bolden now. Yeah, we don't want him back. You were the ones dumb enough to offer that trade in the first place. Again, we got to be careful at what position we get somebody back here, too. It might not be worth it. Najee Harris at 29. Oh, Rondale. What am I going to do for you here, buddy? Even if I were to use that second round pick, would it be anything crazy? How'd the draft go? Mixed bag, mostly bad. I'm getting like Trayvon Walker's out there. I know he's an X factor, man, but it's not worth it for us. We have younger safeties to build around. I don't really know what we're going to be able to do with Rondale. It might just be worth keeping him, especially in case of injury. Means we could cut the old shark out of here. I think we will keep Rondale for now. Maybe try to trade him again in the future. But it's going to be Henry, Bush, and Wells as our top three. Rondale in the 4 spot. Cooks in the 5. Tight end, of course. Now it's Reed. It's Casey, which is insane. Khalil Fant, who we just drafted. Again, I do think could be someone worth building around, but he's getting practice squatted, at least for Season 1. And then the O-line, I'm going to have to figure out who's going where. There's probably going to be some movement there. But that's not the end of the world. Defensive line. We now have Forrest Harris on the team with Corbin Williams, which is insane. It should have been the guy that we frickin' drafted, but it demoted him for no frickin' reason, so what are you gonna do? And linebacker-wise, there's not too much to sort. Corners, we got 1, 2, 3. We can keep either Byers or Malone on the team, or sign a random veteran. I think we'll go sign a random veteran for that 4th spot, or I could move a safety to corner, but they'd be in the 4 spot, so it's like, what's the point? Then again, linebacker-wise, I can't guarantee they'll be in a better spot either. Again, it's Monty Henson that's kind of in that chopping block position right now. Let's go sign another corner to help round out this roster. I think we are technically right on the 53 limit right now. So who's it going to be at corner? Shaq Griffin? Rock Yassin? Honestly, we'll go with Shaq Griffin because he's in the mentor role as well. So he'll be our 5th option at corner. This team just changed drastically. My goodness. My goodness, this team has changed. Yeah, we were right on the 53-man limit, which is okay. It's by design. So one more look here. Quarterback, we're good. Again, the O-line, we got to figure out what we want to do here in terms of who plays where. The good thing is most of our young guys have good awareness, too. Proctor doesn't have very good agility. I'm going to leave Farley as our starting center, just to kind of protect him as a rookie. So let's move Jeremiah over to right guard. He's been our center ever since really he was drafted, but we'll move him over to right guard. That way Farley can be trained up by Brendel. Proctor's got Brunskill, Cook and Havenstein, Williams and Pete, and then Ringer will technically play ahead of Dawkins. It's just the linebacker situation. That's where our last cut or 2 has to come from. Do I leave Monty Henson at safety? He's just never going to play at safety. It's just not going to happen. So if we go with Gary and him at linebacker, Malone in the middle, that works pretty well. And then Ellington's a good depth option. So Monty Henson, drafted you as a safety, my friend, but we are going to move you over to linebacker and see if it's worth trying to get you to break out. Thought the game crashed. See if we can get you to break out at linebacker, and if we can't, then so be it. He is only a 71 overall linebacker. So I guess he is just in a depth role pretty much no matter what. We'll put him back at safety then. I didn't think he'd drop off that badly. Yeah, his rushing abilities are pretty damn poor. So let's move Monty back to where he was drafted. And we'll stick with Ellington. I mean, that guy's, I think, seen star dev twice and been demoted twice. So we're going to move Kentrell Ellington over to the left, which I believe is the side he was drafted on, if I'm not mistaken. That might be. Yeah, our linebacker core on paper will probably be the weakest part of the team. But at the same time, I don't think it's a complete disaster. Yeah, Jason DeMaine is going to have to get practice squatted here to make room. Which is okay, because he was a terrible, terrible pick. And with that, if we cut Quincy Bankston, I think we have the number that we are looking for of 53 on the dot. Am I wrong about that? No, I am not. The next step is the depth chart. And who the hell starts? And I gotta be honest, I think it's Kurt. And I think Kurt gets, until the trade deadline, one final opportunity to break out. He hasn't done it over 3 years. One more chance, Kurt, to break out, or you get traded at the deadline, and Josh Leach gets a chance in the back half of the season to prove that he can be the guy. And if he can't do that, we have to look for another quarterback.